Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. In this lesson, we will discuss about disciplinary procedure and domestic inquiry. The learning objectives are to describe disciplinary action for misconduct, to explain the guidelines for taking disciplinary action, to understand domestic inquiry and steps to conduct a domestic inquiry, and the last one to identify types of penalty. What is misconduct? Okay, according to Industrial Court Award number 255 of 1990, misconduct refers to improper behavior, intentional wrongdoing, or deliberate violation of a rule of standard of behavior. In short, we can say that misconduct is any conduct inconsistent with the faithful discharge of duties. There are two types of misconduct. Number one, minor misconduct. For instance, lateness, using rude words, improper clothes. Number two, we have major misconduct. For instance, fighting at work, theft, refusing to work, or on drug at work. Next is about the guideline for taking disciplinary action. The following guidelines should be followed when disciplinary action is necessary. Number one, it should be given in private. No worker likes to be embarrassed in front of his colleague. Number two, it should be expected. The employee should know the rules of the organization and the penalties for the breaking the rule. Number three, action should be consistent. The same act of misconduct committed by two different workers should lead to the same penalty. Number four, it should be immediate. Disciplinary action should be taken immediately or as soon as possible after the misconduct is discovered. And the last one, it should be progressive. Progressive discipline seeks primarily to correct the employee's behavior rather than punish him. Next is domestic inquiry. Before a worker is dismissed, certain procedure must be followed. It is absolutely essential the organization follow this procedure carefully because any employees who is dismissed and who feel he has a case of wrongful dismissal can appeal to Director General of Industrial Relations for reinstatement. This is under Section 20 Industrial Relations Act 1967. The definition of domestic inquiry. A domestic inquiry is an internal investigation process that is launched when an employer needs to determine whether an employee has committed an act of misconduct. Under Section 14 Employment Act 1955, employers have a statutory obligation to conduct a due inquiry. Due inquiry here refers to domestic inquiry to ascertain whether an employee is guilty of misconduct before they can dismiss or impose a major penalty on the employees. This is the steps to domestic inquiry. First, the issuance of a show cause letter. The letter is used to clearly and precisely outline the allegation of misconduct and provide a timeline for an employee to explain their side of the story in formal writing. Second, suspension of the employee. The suspension is only necessary if the employer feels that it would prevent interference with the investigation process and bar the employee from committing further misconduct. Under the Employment Act, the employee can only be placed on a period of suspension not more than 2 weeks and be given half their wages during this period. Should the employee be deemed not guilty later on, the employer is required to pay back the remaining wages. Third, preparing for the domestic inquiry hearing. If the employee's written explanation and response to the show cause letter is not satisfactory, the employer may then start to prepare for a domestic inquiry hearing. But if the employer satisfied with the employee's explanation, so domestic inquiry is not necessary. Finally, carrying out the domestic inquiry hearing. Domestic inquiry are commonly modeled after court proceedings. There will be two sides: the prosecution, which act on behalf of the employer, and the defense, which consists of the accused employee. Both parties should be able to call on witnesses to testify and provide evidence to support their respective argument. To ensure objectivity during the inquiry, the accused employee should be allowed full opportunity to present their case. Finally, after conducting domestic inquiry, employers can penalize employees guilty of misconduct in the following manners. Number one, oral warning, which should be combined with the counseling session, or written warning, or downgrading, or suspension of not more 2 weeks. Okay, and the last one, dismissal. Okay, this is all the penalties for the employees who are committed with the misconduct. Okay, that's all for this lesson. Thank you very much for your attention. Bye.